Just so that everyone is aware, this will be a recorded webinar and question and answer session for the 2019 New South Wales AgriFutures Rural Women's Award application process. There will be a short presentation and a chance to ask questions after. So if it hasn't been covered up in the presentation beforehand and you still need some more information to help you with your applications, so please feel free to ask them after we have finished the slides. So to get started, as you know, the Rural Women's Award has been run by AgriFutures Australia in conjunction with the state and territory partners for the last 20 years. So at the state and territory level, our wonderful partners facilitate the awards at a state and territory level, and then AgriFutures then run the award and program after at a national level. All of the contact details, if you need them for your state and territory partners and agencies, are on the website. So a little bit about AgriFutures Australia. So AgriFutures Australia is the new trading name for the Rural Industries Research and Development Corporation, formerly known as RIDIC. They changed the name to AgriFutures Australia, one, so it aligned with what we were actually doing, and two, because everyone got sick and tired of hearing people say RIDIC. So AgriFutures Australia invests in research, leadership, innovation and learning to support industries that do not have their own research and development functions. We support new and emerging industries and the issues that affect the whole of agriculture. Our vision is to grow the long-term prosperity of Australian rural industries, and in practical terms, this means initiatives that attract capable people into careers in agriculture, build the capability of future rural leaders, and support change makers and thought leaders. We do research and analysis to understand and address important issues on the horizon for Australian agriculture, and the research and development for established industries that do not have their own research and development corporation, also known as RDCs, including rice, chicken meat, honeybee and pollination, thoroughbred horse, pasture seeds, export fodder, ginger and tea tree oil industries. We also research and develop industries such as deer, buffalo, kangaroo and camel milk to try and accelerate and establish the prosperity of these industries within the Australian market. So what is the AgriFutures Rural Women's Award? So the award acknowledges and supports the essential role that women play in rural businesses, industries and communities. It also serves as a beacon to those women and men who are coming through tertiary education and starting their careers in the rural industries or rural communities. It's great to have really strong leaders in the communities, and the AgriFutures Rural Women's Award really helps in identifying who they are and helping their projects have impact in their industries and communities. So our goal is to support people that drive the future prosperity of Australian rural industries and regional communities by providing them with learning opportunities and experiences. A core priority of this arena is to build the capability of future rural leaders, and this is where the Rural Women's Award program aligns. Women make a significant contribution to agricultural industries, accounting for almost half, so 49% of the total value of output that might be attributed to farming communities, on-farm, off-farm and household and community work. But women currently represent less than 20% of agricultural decision makers. Diversity in leadership is necessary to improve the agricultural sector's performance domestically and in a competitive global market. We often get asked why we have a gender-specific award, and that's exactly why. So who can apply for the Rural Women's Award? So it's all women involved in rural industries and or regional businesses and communities. You don't have to have specific formal qualifications or experience. Location isn't a barrier. You can live anywhere to be able to apply for this award. It is a national award, which is why we do have our state and territory partners that help us in facilitating this award. So basically, if you want to create impact, innovate, or make a difference for regional, rural communities or rural industries, then this award applies to you. So you might be wondering what the award actually gets you, apart from just the prestige of having won the award or being listed as a finalist. You actually receive, each state and territory winner receives a $10,000 bursary, which is generously supplied by our platinum sponsors, Westpac. You get professional leadership and development opportunities, and the national winner also gets another $10,000 bursary, and the national runner-up gets another $5,000 bursary. So there is a financial incentive, but a lot of the value in this award actually lies in the networking opportunities as you become a part of the RWA alumni, which is the last 20 years of Rural Women's Award winners and finalists that make up a really strong network of women with a very broad skill and industry base. So we get a lot of questions about what the award is and what we're actually looking for. That's because the award is quite broad, because we don't want to limit it too much, because we don't want to hamper ideas or miss ideas or opportunities that are out there because people don't think the award applies to them. So you don't need to have a distinct project. It may be commercially or non-commercially focused. Location is no barrier. We do get a lot of questions, what if I live in the city? As long as it's having positive impact for rural industries, we do realise that there's a lot of people from regional, rural, remote backgrounds that actually are currently living in cities, but they do have that experience and knowledge and drive to have a positive impact in rural communities, which is why we don't limit it to people just living outside of metropolitan areas. In 2018, the award was changed slightly to accept commercially viable ideas. So just because you have an idea and it's an idea that will make you money, doesn't eliminate you from this award. So we have had some great applicants in 2018 that have got really commercially viable projects, solutions and ideas, many that they're already running with that have become finalists for this award. So in the application process, you're asked to do your personal pitch. So this is basically, how you would define yourself, what motivates you and what you stand for. If you could put into words, what you're passionate about and how that has impacted your idea, then that is what we're looking for in that particular part of the application. And what does prosperity look like to you? Once again, this is a really broad question, and we're happy for you to think in really broad blue sky terms, but we want you to be informed in what that actually looks like. For example, if you had and I'll use a relevant example from this year's national finalists, if prosperity looked like there was no more food waste and there was no food shortage, that's great, but we would like to know, how your idea impacts on what that vision is. Making a difference. So what we want to know is what impact your idea will have, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a broad impact. It might be an idea or a project that really is benefiting a small group of people, but it's having a large impact for them. There's a lot of sort of finite ideas out there, but that doesn't mean they're not really worthwhile projects or ideas to pursue. But make sure that you're really solving a problem that exists, so that your idea isn't solving a problem that isn't there at all. If you can really clearly define the problem and really explain how your idea or project either, eliminates that problem or helps to eliminate that problem or diminish the impact of that problem, then that's the sort of ideas that we're looking for. So with your leadership success to date, we're not necessarily looking for, that you've cured cancer or that you're at the top of your field. We're just really looking for, anything that you've achieved around your project line to date, or any background that will give us more support or a clearer understanding of your journey up to this point. That's not to say that someone might have an idea and it's completely unrelated to what they've been doing up to this point. We still want to hear them. I suppose also it's a good opportunity for you to think about your leadership development. That's a really core part of what AgriFutures has a focus on, and that's to build leadership skills in our rural communities. So this is really something that we want you to spend a little bit of time on, because a lot of the time the bursaries are actually used to develop some skills that might be holding you back from either rolling out your project or idea, or being able to have a broader impact with that concept than you've had to date. Sorry, I've skipped over a really important slide, which I really just want to reiterate. The making the difference, that's probably what you would probably spend most of your time focused on in your application, because it's the outcome of your project. If you can articulate that really well, that will make it really clear for anyone reading your application or listening to your final pictures, the impact that your project's going to have. So I can't stress that enough, that is really important to be able to define the problem and the impact that your idea will have on that problem. So there's a few myths and a few ideas that people have around the AgriFutures Rural Women's Award. So one, you don't have to live in a rural or regional community. You don't have to live on a farm, and you're not necessarily more likely to win if you don't have a strong agricultural background or if you don't live remotely. We are really looking for how ideas impact our rural areas. Another myth is you have to have heaps of experience and knowledge and be a leader in your field to be applicable for this award. So this is not purely for recognition of past achievements, and we do get a lot of inquiries and applications from people who have done excellent things across a very long time in their careers or their community involvement. But what this award really is looking for is a more specific project, and that doesn't mean to say that someone hasn't had all of that experience and achievements in the lead up to coming to this project or idea, but it's not a prerequisite for the award. You don't need to be in a senior role or own your own business or farm. You don't have to have tertiary qualifications. You do not have to be a confident public speaker, but once you become a finalist, there are opportunities to grow this skill, because there is a bit of public speaking in terms of even just you pitching to your panel. So if you're not a confident public speaker, don't worry, but there will be a small amount involved, but we hope to grow that skill. So the next myth is revenue, and a lot of people have the idea that you can't personally profit from the bursary or project or idea. We actually do want the bursary to enrich you or help get your project more off the ground than it currently is sitting, or give it some inertia to drive it forward. And that could be by removing barriers such as, like I said, professional development opportunities, or you're acquiring more skills to be able to apply them to your project. And like I said, in 2018, we did change the criteria so that commercially viable projects will still be considered for the award. So with that being said, no, it does not have to be a not-for-profit organisation. And yes, your idea or project can be commercially viable. So a lot of times when people are doing their applications, they may not think that they've got much of an idea there, but they can see that the impact that a small idea will have. So it doesn't necessarily be fully fleshed out. If we can see that the concept that you have will have an impact on a problem, then we're happy to work with you to flesh that out. And a lot of the process around the Rural Women's Award is actually troubleshooting some of the projects and giving you the resources to overcome those barriers that are currently holding you up in the application or the rollout of that project. So you don't already have to start. We've had projects before that either they are wanting to do an awareness campaign, they're wanting to build resources, but what they really do have is a clearly defined problem and an idea of how that project or that initiative is going to impact that problem. So applications for the awards close on the 31st of October. So stage 1 is the selection panels, and we review and score the written applications. And then we phone interview the top 8 to 10 applicants. And then there's the face-to-face interviews and state and territory announcements. The Northern Territory applications actually close on the 27th of January, just to fit in with their season a little bit better up in the NT. So that's the end of my slides. So now if there is anyone who's got some questions they would like answered, I'm going to take you off mute. Okay, you should all be unmuted now. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, Pip, I was just wondering if you could possibly give some examples of the projects that the finalists have done previously.
Yes, okay, that's a really good question. They are very broad, and a lot of them impact industry and a lot of them impact community. An example of some that we have for our national finalists this year is from Tasmania. We have Alison Clark, who is targeting literacy levels within businesses in Tasmania and developing resources so that small problems like not being able to read dates correctly, or there might be mathematical problems, aren't costing businesses big money for small mistakes. So that's an example of one. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got Krista Watkins, who's doing the War on Waste, and she's had a great concept and a project that her and her husband have done previously, which is banana flour. And Krista is now developing a way to use that technology to make sweet potato flour, because currently 50,000 tonnes of sweet potato per acre is being wasted each year up in Queensland just because they don't look right on the shelf. So there is a really there's breadth to what ideas we're looking for, and like I said, it's the impact that we're looking for, not just a specific niche area. Another great idea we've got in Kyneton in Victoria is we've got Melissa, who is trying to match retired farmers to tree changers who have come onto properties with no previous farming skills, and she's setting up a mentoring system so that there's a wealth of knowledge being handed down from retired farmers to these new farmers. So, you know, there is a lot of variety that we get in applications. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Excellent. Have we got any more questions?
Sorry, I do. I was writing a bit of a list as we were going through them.
That's all right.
Could you give us some examples of how the 10,000 bursary has been used previously?
Yeah, sure. And that is a really good question. So some specific examples might be that you've gone off and done a professional development course, so that if we've gone through and we think the project's great and we've identified that there might be key areas that are just holding you up and acting as a bit of a handbrake on you getting that project rolled out. And, you know, it could be anything from, you know, you not having a particular set of skills to be able to either promote an idea. It might be professional services. A lot of the time it's professional services like branding or consultancy that you actually need to be able to either communicate an idea or to be able to back up your idea with some hard data that, you know, we might look at spending some money towards those sort of ideas. It might be even traveling overseas so that you can actually see how an idea might be working in a different market, so that you can bring those key learnings back and apply them to Australian communities. So we've got some coming through on the chat here that I can see. I think this one is from Jess. So, okay, so what are the commitments if you are successful for the award? This is a really good one. There is a commitment for a little bit of travel with the initial state and territory announcements. And then if you are successful, if you're the winner of the state and territory award, then you will travel mid-year next year to a workshop that we do, which will let you get to know the other state and territory winners, and you'll also go through a little bit of professional development, and there'll be the national pictures, and there is the RWA Gala Dinner and national announcement that will be in September, October 2019, which you will need to be at in order to will accept your award if you are the national winner. But it's also a really good chance to meet a lot of the alumni that we're really thankful to have come along to that event each year, and that are still really strong supporters of that award. So thanks for asking that. Are there any more questions out there? Okay. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Of course, if anything does come up or you do have another question, feel free to give your state and territory coordinators a call or to give me a call at AgriFutures. But I hope you all have a lovely evening, and I hope that you all put through your applications. Thank you.